I know some people aren't able to make it at this time. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer pranams to my Gurudevs, Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj and Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. They have opened my eyes, which were closed in the darkness of ignorance, with the lamp of divine knowledge. So we are covering Bhagavad Gita starting from 251. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Karmajam buddhiyukta hi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmukta padam gacchanti anamayam. So in this verse, Sri Krishna says that enlightened sages endowed with buddhi yoga give up the results born of karma. Thus, becoming freed from the cycle of birth and death, they eventually attain Vaikuntha, the state beyond all mundane miseries. So preceding this, there are some verses that describe the importance of being able to perform one's prescribed duties. And karma, in this case, is referring to doing one's duties, performing one's work which is prescribed, proper work. There's also a word that's used for improper work, and that word is vikarma. And there is another word for work which is divine activities, transcendental or spiritual activities, which do not come under the purview of receiving good and bad results of our actions, and that word is akarma. So here Sri Krishna is referring to that one should have an appropriate intelligence, buddhi yukta. One should have an understanding, an understanding that the fruits of action, one should not be attached to them. A thoughtful person, manishina, manishini or manishi means one who is very thoughtful, who understands. And this is the key to becoming free from the bondage of repeated birth and death. So in the yoga practice, the ultimate goal is to achieve union with the divine, and this means also to become free from the things. There are considered to be 4 problems with this world: birth, death, disease, and old age. Now you might recognize this word anamayam. Anamaya means free from that place. Padam gacchanti anamayam. That place which is free from misery. Amaya also is a word used for affliction or disease. You see it a lot in Ayurveda. We talk about, amaya, this amaya, that amaya. And this is referring to that place which is free from all types of misery. That is the goal of one who desires liberation through the yoga practice, to not have to experience the various types of suffering. So the things in this world, we experience some pleasure, but there is always some pain mixed in. There's always some temporary quality to the things that we experience in this world. So this is how Sri Krishna is describing the liberation by practicing yoga practice, going to that place which is free from birth, death, disease, old age. So, the relationship between birth and death, they are inextricably entwined. As soon as we die, we have to be born again. And it is described that the the pain of being born is very intense. Imagine, you're stuffed inside a sack that's very tight, and you may be afflicted by different types of various types of parasites and so forth. It's very painful. It's a difficult process, and in that process, we forget a lot. And it is said that the child within the womb becomes conscious around the 5th or 6th month, and then it has awareness of previous life and may also offer prayers to Bhagavan for freedom, and may make some promise. Oh, when I am born, I'm going to do spiritual activities. I'm not going to go through this again. But of course, the baby is born and gets affection and will, forget about all these things, and it's all about, going through the different koshas, annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, anandamaya, and going through the different stages of life. So I'm going to pause the recording for just a second. I just have to go take care of something. I'll be right back. So, verse 252. Yada te moha kalalam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gandasi nirvedam srotavyasya shrutasya cha. So this is a very interesting verse, and this references this whole previous discussion about being able to do one's prescribed duty without being attached to the results. Now, this is, it's a very useful verse. It's a very good verse to remember for someone who wants to be on the yoga path. And when I say be on the yoga path, I'm not talking about just, going to classes or teaching some classes, but means that your heart is on the yoga path. When your intelligence has completely crossed beyond the dense forest of illusion, you will become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Now, think about this in the context of your life. Think about how many times we get disturbed by things that people say. We hear things that someone has said in the past, and we think about it, it hurts us. People are always saying hurtful things. Isn't this true? And often people will say hurtful things, and the attempt is to try to control us, to try to gain some superiority, to try to gain some advantage, to make us feel that we have to do something to make up for our own inadequacy. Well, hey, you're not inadequate. You are who you are. And you shouldn't let what others say disturb you. This is what Krishna is saying. It's an illusion. People are going to say things. People have said things. Become indifferent to it, because it's an illusion. So this is really saying that one should become selfless. One should offer the results of one's action, and this is called Nishkam Karma Yoga. So it is not just Karma Yoga, but it is Nishkam Karma Yoga. When you have no desire in your heart for the fruits of actions, then you can actually become indifferent to all of these things, all the things that others have said, all the things that others will say. And basically it is because we are identifying with the body that we undergo this kind of suffering, because of our identification with the body. Now, in the next verse, Arjuna is asking a question. Arjuna uvachas, stita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhis tasya keshava stitadhi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. Arjuna said, O Keshava, what are the symptoms of a person whose intelligence is fixed in samadhi? How does he speak? How does he sit? And how does he walk? So now Arjuna is asking a question. How would we recognize someone who actually is fixed, who is a successful practitioner of the yoga process, and who has their intelligence fixed in samadhi? How would they speak and sit and walk? What would they act like? How do they deal with these situations where we get happiness or we get distress, we get honor or dishonor, we get glorified or we get criticized? What do they do? Do they speak out, or do they just contemplate? How do they engage with the external world? Now, this is one of 16 questions that Arjuna asks Sri Krishna in the Gita, and these are enumerated here in this. So let's see, what is Krishna's answer to Arjuna's question? Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Bharata Manogatan Atmanyevatmana Tushta Pragyastadochyate. Shri Bhagavan said, O Partha, when the living entity renounces all material desires arising from the mind, and when his mind is thus controlled, he becomes completely satisfied by the blissful personal form of his own Atma, or self, he is to be known as Sthita Pragya, a person of steady intelligence. So there are other verses that are going to also answer 4 of Arjuna's questions. 4 of those 16 questions are going to get answered, and this is the first one and the last one that we're covering for today. Now, there are a lot of really interesting things here. So, for example, Kaman Sarvan Manogatan means that all of our desires arise from the mind. We've talked about this in the Manasa module. We've talked about how we go through this cycle of thinking and feeling and willing, and there's this continual cycle of, we have the seeds of desire. The seeds of desire sprout, they grow, they manifest as the will for action. We perform actions. We receive the fruits of actions, and these fruits, they plant more seeds. It's a continuous cycle. It never stops. So Krishna is saying one gives up all types of desires that arise from the mind, and this is the key to being able to make the mind steady. Atmani eva atmana tushta. So the mind becomes satisfied within the Atma. It's a very interesting use of Atma, because Atma in Sanskrit can mean the Atma, the self, the soul. It can mean the mind. It can mean the body. In this case, it's referring to the mind. Within the mind, one is satisfied only with the Atma, or self, because the Atma, the soul, is considered to be the source of our all of our desires, thinking, feeling, willing, except that they are coming through the filter of the material mind to which we get all of our different desires attached, and also the results of karma are attached to our subtle body, including the mind. So when we are able to situate ourselves in Anandamaya, when we are blissfully connected on the platform of the soul, and we are connecting with the Supreme Soul, with the Supreme Spirit, then we experience steadiness. We're not disturbed. Well, I don't care whether you say I'm thin or I'm fat or I'm short or I'm tall or you don't like my face, because you're talking about my body. This is ignorant, and I don't even have to tell you this. I'm just telling you a kind of a monologue that you might have, because people will say things. These things disturb us. Oh, you do yoga too much. Oh, you don't do the yoga right. Or, oh, I don't like you, or I like you, or this or that or the other. It's if we are actually, if we're the type of yogi that Krishna is describing here, this doesn't disturb us. We can then be sthita prajna. We can be a person of steady intelligence because we are focused on, where I'm getting my pleasure. There is an aphorism in Vedanta Sutra, Anandamayobhyasat, that basically our nature is pleasure seeking. We want pleasure. We do not want pain. We naturally seek happiness. We seek unending, blissful happiness. So I'm going to end there. We're ending a little short today. I'm not going on as long as I have sometimes. I've just split the Bhagavad Gita postings into a separate course. So this is the URL. We have just done an upgrade on our learning management system and still working out some of the kinks from that, and that may be why not everybody got email for this class, but we're working on that, should have that resolved within the next day or two. So in this Bhagavad Gita, we'll be posting the previous recordings. As promised, I'm going to record a narration for the introductory talk that I did on Gita, and that will be hopefully appreciated by those of you who were not able to come to our October 3rd workshop, and that is going to be where it will be posted. So any of you have any questions before I close? I will stop recording here.